And the Lord uses all of those situations to grow us in such amazing ways that we never thought possible, right? Like I I'm just calling it like I don't think I could teach first and third grade boys. I was sixth graders, and sixth graders are kind of my limit. I did teach kindergarten through fifth grade for 2 years in my defense, and the Lord was like, probably not. So now I'm with the sixth graders. Um, but it is beautiful and it's fruitful when you serve with humility. When you look at leaders, and this all comes on the heels of like I was listening to my Real Dictators podcast, right? Like let me preface with I love historical podcasts. Like I love history. I love world history. I'm not so fond of American history just because I'm like, whatever. Maybe it's because I've studied it for my whole life. I don't know. But I like to see that there are things outside of America that are happening. You know what I mean? Like the world's bigger than just our country. And so, listening to this Real Dictators podcast has you it's easy to see where it starts off. A lot of them start off like from humble beginnings, but their hearts were not humble. Like, and some of them didn't even come from humble beginnings. They just lied about it so people would like them. But, especially for um, Christians, it is, I mean, every leader should be humble, whether you're a Christian or not. But obviously, humility without the Holy Spirit is practically impossible. And it took a while for me to learn that humility didn't mean saying, oh, I can't lead that because I'm not equipped for that. Humility was me saying, like, I can't do that on my own. Like, I'm here to give it a shot, but I need Jesus for that. And so, humility is not us as women saying, well, I'm a woman, so I can't lead this or I can't lead da 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 da. It's saying, yes, on my own, I can't do that. But the humility is, I trust that the Lord is going to equip me for what He's calling me to. And that's a hard place to be. It's not easy, especially when you feel so outside your comfort zone and you're like, what is happening? Like, I mean, that's how I felt the first year and a half, 2 years teaching sixth graders. I was like, what am I doing? But now I mean, it's still every day's an adventure because they're in sixth grade and every day's an adventure. But the adventure is so fun now. It's less scary and so fun because I'm like, oh, well, I've been there before. Or, oh, hey, listen, like I went through this when I was your age. Let's do this together, that kind of thing. And so, um, humility just in general in leadership is important. But like we've said multiple times, like Jesus served us with a humble heart. He was the picture of what servanthood looked like. And if you are a
Mhm.
leader who can't serve, then you are not a leader. You are just somebody who has been put in charge of other people. And I will stand behind that. So you can at I almost gave you Joseph's email address. LOL. Don't do that. Don't email him about complaints about me. Um, but yeah, if you can't serve with humility or if your heart is not in the right place, then you are just a person who is up there in charge of people. Like you're not leading, you're just the boss. And mm,
Well, leading is, I mean, it's sacrificial.
mhm.
I knew we were talking about leadership, and Jason Bird, who let me just shout out to my husband. He is an excellent leader. Such a godly man who is, uh, uh, if I had to describe my Jason Bird, he is quiet strength, and he listens, he serves, he's all about others first. And one of the things that well, first of all, he's got bunches and bunches of leader books. I've got a whole shelf over here. And when I knew that we were talking about leadership, I went to his library and was looking at some things. And there was a quote here by Gerald Brooks from this is the John Maxwell book.
Mm.
Matter of fact, Joseph has recommended this book.
Is
He
that
let me
the
borrow it a long time ago. The
irrefutable
21
laws?
Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Yes. So actually, this book may be mine. But Jason Bird already had it too. We may have two copies. But there's a uh, quote here that I'd highlighted. It says, "When you become a leader, you lose the right to think about yourself." And that's kind of painful. Sometimes when you are in leadership, you want to be recognized. I want to do things that will help me and help my family, help me, help make life easier for me. But if I am a good leader, that's not going to be the choices. I am more concerned about the people I'm leading than I am about myself. So, we've got lots of different listeners who are in different stages of life and different walks of life. So you may be leading you may be a leader of a corporation, or you may be leader of some kind of church group or a co-op, or you may be a leader of your family. But regardless, have to, when I think about my first calling is I'm leading my daughters. Like I said, I feel like that is my main mission field right now. I also lead at co-op, and I help lead high school girls. But my main leadership role right now is my daughters. And I'm called to think of them first. When I begin to think of myself, and get selfish, the whole atmosphere of my home changes. And I it becomes a place that nobody wants to be. Whereas when I serve them, then somehow they follow me, and I see them serving each other, and I see them serving me and serving their dad. So if you're in some kind of leadership role, when you start to exhibit true servant leadership and you're thinking of others before yourself, people follow, and they want to help you, and they want to demonstrate and exemplify the same things that they're seeing from you. So it's contagious. So I think that, and I think that's just the favor of the Lord upon you, when you're serving the way his son served. Then the blessings will come. It's not always easy, and it requires intentionality to think of others before you think of yourself, because that's not our natural way of doing things. But the Holy Spirit allows us to do that. So
Mhm. And we had mentioned earlier, we were talking about Moses, and Joseph wrote an entire dissertation on his leadership pipeline, right? It's a really long title. I can't remember all of it. But being a humble leader also means acknowledging when, Jethro comes to Moses and is like, you're doing this all by yourself. Like, what in the world? These people are just complaining about everything. You need help. Like, let some people help you. And so humility doesn't mean that you still just do it all by yourself. It means acknowledging that you have people in place, or even better, you are raising up people and leading them in such a way that you know exactly what their DNA is at that point, because you've been with them, whether it's, like you said, in a corporate world, it's not going to be considered discipleship necessarily. That's not the word we're going to use, but we're going to build up those leaders that can come around us and say, hey, listen, in my humility, I know I can't do all of this on my own. And that's really hard for me because I like to just, I've got it. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Let me handle it. I've got it. And so being humble in our leadership means saying, I don't got it. And that's
mhm,
good because God didn't
mhm.
create me to have it all. He created me
Yes.
to be here, and then this person to come in and help, and this person here, and just working together. So humility means that we have to put people in places where they can thrive and they can learn. And we're not just, our leadership doesn't just end with us, because if you're gone, who's taken over, right? We got Joshua who takes over for Moses after, but once Joshua's gone, they're like, well, guys, we are up a creek. And so God's like, here's some judges. Here you go. Caleb's youngest brother, you can have him. And, but, it's like, he was the first judge, but sorry, that was, I feel like out of nowhere, but I'm studying judges. So all of this is very fresh on my mind. So building up those, not feeling so afraid. Oh, if I build this leader, they can eventually take my job, or they can eventually do what I'm doing to the same level that I'm doing it. That insecurity is straight from the enemy, because the Lord's like, hey, listen, no, you're supposed to serve with a humble heart. And that means you're building up leaders. You need to raise up leaders to take over for you, because you could die at any day. Like, you could die any moment, and who would take over? And so
Mhm.
having people, or you could just have to leave that place. The Lord could call you somewhere else. And so, not everybody's got to die, but like, sorry. It's just Moses and
Sure.
Joshua, they died, and so that was where I was going with it, I guess. But being able to raise up those leaders takes humility, and being like, you know what? They might do this better than I do, and that's good, because where they're strong, I'm weak, and let's work together, and my weaknesses will play with their strengths, and they'll learn from me, I'll learn from them, but it all starts with that humility and knowing that we can do it on our own.
Yeah.
And
And
I
you know,
think
that
it's,
sort of go
no,
ahead,
go ahead.
Emily.
No, no, no,
You
go
sure?
ahead.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking, because we talked about victimization earlier in leadership, or servanthood at least. And so then you also have the opposite end of that, which is kind of what you're talking about, which is the martyrdom, like the martyr leader. Like,
Hmm.
I have to do it all, and you're like, and then you list off all the things that you've done in your martyrship for the Lord and your service, and how you can kind of take on all of those things and then glory in your schedule. I'm too busy serving the Lord, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then the Lord is like, and when do you spend time with
Hmm.
me? Because we can get to where we're like, we're doing all of the things for him and in his name, but spending very little time with him, studying his word and growing in him, because we've signed up to serve and lead in all of the things. And even yesterday, Jared and I went to a little community meeting for our neighborhood, and they're looking for some fresh leaders. Nobody wants to serve on an HOA, but they need a little help with like their social media stuff, communication. And before, like, I had not intended to raise my hand to volunteer, but Jared's like, your hands are full. Like, you just know you got to tell me ahead of time, hey, your hands are already full. You can't take on anything else, because I am that girl who's like, give it all to me. No one else will do it. Okay, I'll do it. Give it all to me. I'll carry it. I'll fix it. I'll solve it. Whatever. So we have to be careful, for those of us who don't typically fall into the victim side of servanthood, to also not be the martyr who takes on everything, forsaking their own relationships, with time with their kids, their white space in their calendars, their time with God. We have to be really careful that when we're serving or leading, that we're also leading by example, because we talked about how Jesus went off by himself to pray and to spend time with the Lord. Even that very night you're talking about, Emily, when he was washing feet, when he was done with that, he went and spent time with God. And
Hmm.
so I think there's a really good example for us in that as well. And just one other thing to note, and then I'll let Emily talk. But in my Bible, because you mentioned Joshua, when Joshua dies, I have just a note that says, Joshua finished well. He lived his life completely to
Hmm.
service of God. And he's one of the few biblical leaders that we have. I mean, I shouldn't say few, but we sort of focus on the failures of so many of them. But Joshua, he set a really good example for completing the calling, completing the task, and finishing well. And I think in order for us to be good leaders, we have to finish whatever we're doing
Mhm.
Mm,
well.
agree.
And that's, whether you're done teaching for the season or you're done leading a particular group or, whatever the extent of that is, if you know that you're getting to a point where you can no longer do it to the best of your ability, then that's probably the good time to stop so you can finish well and leave it with, in the most glorifying way as possible.
Agree. Agree. And when you're talking about the martyr, that I would fall into that category. As shameful as it is to say that, I can see myself doing that. And part of the reason is exactly, Bree, what you said. I don't always acknowledge the strength around me. I'm like, oh, I can just do it myself. I don't want to bother somebody else. And it's just easier that instead of having to coordinate and all that, let me just do it. Oh, um, there have been numerous roles that I have served in that I've been the one man show. And again, the move here to Augusta it was pruning because I do see where I have done that so many times. And there's so many people who I was serving that I didn't give them the opportunity to truly shine and to use the gifts that the Lord had given them because I was just doing it all. Um, oh, ugh, the Lord is just growing me. I don't think I'll ever stop growing. He's pruning me still. Um, but I know with this move to Augusta, I have definitely tried to, my friend Christy, oh, she speaks in front of just big corporations and she's just a motivational speaker. And she always says, acknowledge the brilliance in the room. She said, always the most brilliant one, even though I am the one that has the platform right here. There are brilliant people out here and they've got something to
Mhm.
add. And I've taken that. There's always people around me who can add, and we can become so much stronger as a team when I acknowledge their strengths and when I reach out to them and say, "Hey, you know what? I need help." That's
Yeah.
humbling. To admit that I need I need help. These are the weaknesses that I know I'm not meeting all the needs. And again, the Lord will just provide those people. So,
Mhm.
and I think in admitting my weakness, there's something that it makes people even respect me more, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like, hey,
Yeah.
she's a real person.
They can connect to
um,
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, humility is a good way way to serve. If we follow the example of the good Lord and of our Savior, you can never go wrong.
Mhm.
So,
So I love that it was just one question, like that stirred this whole conversation. Like we didn't even get through, like we didn't even talk
Mhm.
about any other questions, which is great though, because I think that this is such a needed thing. Like it drives me absolutely crazy when I myself try and do all the things and I'm like, okay, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. And I'm not like my leadership suffers when I try to do all those things. And so obviously, like even for myself, just to talk with you guys about this, like so needed because, and I know there's other people out there that probably need to hear it as well. And I'm by no means saying that we don't each need to hear what we're saying to one another. Um, so I'm excited though for just to continue the conversation about leadership, and from our perspective, women in leadership, because obviously, we're women, and I'm not going to speak to the male role in leadership aside from what, the Bible talks about, because I'm not a man. I'm not gonna do that. That happened today during our Connect class. I was like, I am not going to speak for you males. But let me tell you what we think. And so, but no, this has been a wonderful conversation, and I am really excited to continue this conversation, and just truthfully just grow in leadership capabilities. The 21 irrefutable laws, right? The law of the lid is one of them. And if your lid is here, like what you don't want to do is, citing John Maxwell, like, like you don't want to hit your lid and not realize you've hit your lid. So let's see if we can raise our lid, raise that little bit of leadership so we can take it whatever we're doing to that next level, whether it's our families or a corporation or you're, leading a ministry at your church or whatever you do that leads people. We don't want to hit the lid and just be satisfied there.
Right.
We want to say, okay, what can I do to raise that lid? What can I do to get better at this? And definitely recommend that book. It's wonderful. And so, as I'm looking at all Joseph's 4,000 leadership books right in front of me right now in his 4 bookshelved library. So, anyway, well, it's been wonderful, ladies, and a joy as always. So, we will be back with you guys in 2 weeks, and we will see you then.